I've been thinking about this subject for the last couple of days, and I thought about why not make this an interactive experience with you, the audience, which can maybe help me broaden my perspective and maybe point some things out that I haven't noticed with my own thinking. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to show you my commander list. I'm going to show you my equipment, future equipment plans. I'm going to show you my armaments, future armament conversions plans, and the line that I'm currently using. And I'm going to list a couple options that I had in mind to use in the future, in the near future. So let's begin with the commander list. As you can see right here, I have quite a lot of expertise commanders, mostly infantry. I had 24 expertise commanders. I counted it this morning. And Bai Chi is the latest addition. He was expertise yesterday after a long day of gathering gems to unlock him. It took me 29 spins to unlock this dude. Probably the worst experience I had with Wheel of Fortune in my 6 years of playing. It was a nightmare, but I eventually got it done, thankfully. Even though there is no real rush, but I want to get him in my lineup as fast as possible. Anyway, first equipment set is my Smite infantry. As you can see, I have tier 5 boots, tier 5 pants, a lot of tiers on other pieces except gloves. I've been pretty happy with this set, not gonna lie. Does really well. Probably won't see too many changes in the future. Perhaps maybe another tier in the hammer, but after finalizing my accessories. Armaments are not as good as my skill damage infantry, but this arch formation is going to remain for at least a KVK, maybe even 2, depending how many stones I get in the meantime, because other than the scroll, it's not really a rush to get. Obviously, switching to pencil would be better because I get the better inscription that doesn't lose me rage. But I found to have better priorities elsewhere. So this is going to remain arch for the time being. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. It has a decent number of inscriptions and it could use a little bit more health, to be honest. But that's how it looks right now. It probably won't be changed anytime soon. Not gonna waste any transmute stones right now and in the future as well. We got Philip. Philip is my leadership pseudo infantry, mostly because of the equipment choices and with the special talents, of course. But the thing about Philip is the formation. I got the echelon formation. I got the special inscription. So I want to keep using Philip primary if I can. And I know it's not the most optimal because you do want the AoE damage to go up first. But this is my equipment choice and it's the armament choice that I went. So I need to take that in mind to make the most optimal pairing as possible. And I'm going to show you the options very soon, in which I think is going to be the most optimal overall. But also, I'm not going to make any changes here as well anytime soon, if at all, because I think I have bigger fish to fry elsewhere. And I'm going to show you soon as well. Then we got archers. Archers are my current work in progress because I am halfway to tier 5 boots. I just need half a blueprint and I'm going to get it as fast as possible because tier 5 gives me more march speed and defense, but the march speed is what I'm after. I got real lucky with the talent to be on the boots. And armaments are as follows. I got a decent mix of damage and health and some march speed along the way. Also pretty happy with this set. I could make some changes, but at the current state of archers, this is pretty good for me. Then we have our cavalry march, which hasn't been changed in quite some time. But with the next KVK, we're going to have more access to Ash of the Dawn. So this is going to be tier 5 in like 2 KVKs, if not before, if I get lucky from a crystal key. But obviously it's going to be quite nice when I switch to combo. So it's going to be quite nice to have as well. And other than Ash of the Dawn, not gonna change too much except accessory, but accessory is going to be the drum. But probably gonna be the last silent trial I'll replace, because when I switch to combo, the silent trial procs with a combo combination is really, really good. Armaments, this is my best set of armaments on the account, and this is going to be a bit pricey to switch. Bit pricey to switch to Delta, but I have found some loopholes that I can probably make a special video about when I'm going to make the switch. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't. But when it comes to further transportations, really not necessary. I'd rather make adjustments elsewhere. And then lastly, we have our skill damage infantry, which is running the 4-piece infantry set. And still running some epics, but one still treated quite surprisingly well this KVK for me. And it is going to be the last KVK with one, because this set is going to be switched to pincer. I only need one more stone, so it's just a matter of time, really. And this set could use some work. Like this only took for the max health roll, otherwise I would not use it. Some of these are really good, especially when switched to pincer, like focus fire, boiling blood for the, I think yeah, you just get more rage, like speed of rage gain. And obviously topplers were honestly just much better. Hunter, hands down. So when it comes to stats, this could use some improvements, but when it comes to utility, it's going to be the best armament set probably until I get my hands on Delta. And as the 5th or 6th March, I do have a Gaja Gonzalo, 5551, double 5511 Gonzalo. These are the armaments, obviously not as good as my other sets, but it gets the job done. Has a good amount of stats, but no inscriptions. And the current equipment is going to be used as the gathering gear with horn, and I actually use Greatest Glory this KVK, and I'm happy with the level of investment I had. I got some good reports, obviously not crazy reports, but then again it's probably down to my positioning as well, which needs more tuning. But I do like having Siege in the lineup because it offers me more flexibility and offers me better pairings, which we're going to do right now. So here's how we're going to do it. So this was my lineup this KVK. I use Zook Herman, Juan Scipio, Lucha Alex, Nevsky Arthur, Philip with Wallace. To be honest with you, I didn't use this 5th March, really. I only used it for like a couple times. And it was replaced by the Siege March as the 5th March, because I used Philip behind Zook for just more skill activations, especially compared with the Kino Blades Archer skill, which was really busted. So I thought about this would be probably better overall to have this in the lineup, and I do not regret the choice. I think it was better. But what I do want to run right now is something like, if I'm going to run 5 marches, so we're going to be running same Archer March. We're going to be running, well, if we're going to replace Guan now, we're going to replace Guan with Bai Chi. We're going to bring back Wallace as a double smite. This is going to be pincer from the Guan and to use as a pairing. Then we're going to use Lucha with Alex, because why not? Then we're going to use, so I want to keep using Philip primary if I can. So it's going to be Philip with Scipio. So Scipio I like because Scipio does AoE damage. He doesn't do as much damage as before, but he does have the 30% health debuff, which is still very nice. And he also has a lot of stats, a lot of march speed, and makes quite a tanky pairing with Philip, which gives you more defense once paired with the infantry. And also the shielding helps as well. So the thing about this march is I want to be having as a utility march, but also doing some damage to help better reports. I don't expect great really good reports with this march. It's just there to stay in my current lineup. That's it. And then we're going to use our cavalry march, which is going to be Nevsky Arch. So this is the plan I have for next KVK. Still use wedge for cavalry. We got Philip Scipio, which is basically skill damage. Lucha Alex is 90% smite damage, 10% skill damage, I think. Alex second skill is considered skill damage. Then we got full smite, then we got full wedge. So in this current configuration, I would say keeping Herman is still more beneficial because we're going to have bit more skill damage commanders. Obviously, we're going to lose out on Guan. We're replacing Guan with Philip, really, and Bai Chi, which are not doing any skill damage. They're mostly doing smite damage, except Philip is doing skill damage on his fourth skill. But you get the idea. This will be something that I'll run with 5 marches if I'm not using Siege. If I am using Siege, I'll probably be removing Herman because my Siege does smite damage. So Herman loses its value. And I would want to run Zug with Philip. But actually, let's make it a bit more appealing to the eye. And show you my next configuration. So this was my current / next KVK configuration. This is going to be option 2. So we're going to be running Zug with Philip because I found it to be better than Herman. But I'm losing out on Philip primary and I'm losing out on the echelon formation, which is going to be more buffs. Then we're going to use Arthur primary. So if I make that switch potentially earlier, if possible. Arthur with William, which is another half skill damage pairing. And I can still use Bai Chi with Wallace. I can use Luce with Alex. And then I will bring out the Siege March. So Siege, like I mentioned, I could just leave it in an area where it's not too damaged, like too upfront, too vulnerable to attacks. Because if our ball fights are kinda even, then we're not pushing them too much. The fight is going to remain in that range of Siege. So there's going to be able to basically get free hits and a lot of skill activations because I do have the horn on this march. And it's basically more value than having potentially the 5th march because the 5th march gets out of position most of the time and just gets destroyed. Like nothing I can do really. So Lucha Alex stays the same because it's still very good. Has a lot of insta-proc damage, and Alex provides more debuff for the rest of the lineup to hit harder. And this is going to be the main DPS, really, Bai Chi Wallace. The Smite Pincer combination is going to be so good. Can't wait to use it in the arc. First and foremost, before KVK starts. And then Arthur with William. Arthur primary, I really want to get my hands on because he can do a lot of things that are going to help me my own murder ball, which is going to help, which is basically a proc chance for things like the horn and the drums, so they can start off the rage engine for my rest of my lineup. So this is something I will consider after making my switch to pincer first on my main march, and then make the switch to delta as a second priority, and then for my second infantry march, which you saw is the arch infantry, doesn't require that many stones. It requires like 7 stones to switch, so it's not as expensive. It takes like half a kvk to do it, so obviously delta will take priority over that. And then Zook Philip, because in this configuration I'm not using a lot of skill damage. You can see only William, Zook Philip, and technically Alex is doing skill damage. You're not really benefiting from Herman that much, except for making potentially Zook tankier, but I found Philip to be the tankier option for me. So that is option 2. We got combo cavalry, we got pincer infantry, we got arch formation infantry, and we got skill damage archers. Now, the third option that I have is going to have some slight adjustments. So we're going to return our Zook, we're going to return our Archer, and we're going to return our Luce. So we have Gaja, our siege march, we got the Smite Pincer march unchanged. We're going to go back to Zook Herman, because Philip will be used with Arthur. So Arthur Philip is probably the best delta or combo march you can do as of right now. And then for my second infantry, to potentially get more AoV and get more value, I'll go back to use Scipio with Luce. So in this configuration, this combination does smite damage. This one does half smite damage, skill damage, smite damage, full smite damage, full combo damage, then full skill damage. Obviously, Herman is probably getting the same value as my previous lineup, really, but there is simply no better option. Like, if I don't use Herman or Philip, like if I don't use Philip, I only can use Herman, really. If I don't use Herman, I don't have to use Philip. So I definitely don't regret going for Philip in the commander swap, because he is precisely what makes it so versatile. I can use him as a primary, I can use him as a secondary behind infantry, cavalry, archers, and have really good combinations all around. But overall, I think I am a bit limited in the regard that I do want to keep him primary, which is not the most optimal thing you can do for the open field. But I do not want to dismantle that set, or because I already made a dedicated armament decision, and I do want to make it as good as possible. And I think in the next KVK, I can really make it happen with Philip primary and Scipio prime secondary, compared to the Wallace that I had in this KVK. So this configuration provides more AoV with Scipio, or more reliable AoV, because William has AoV, but it's a rectangle. Scipio Luce, we all know, it's a really good march, and it's quite good in every aspect: like march speed, debuff, damage, utility. And obviously leaving Alex out is a bit regrettable, but in this time with so many infantry commanders, someone has to leave out, and I think this is, out of the options that I have, could be the best one. But overall, all in all, this can be used next KVK. It's going to be used at earliest the KVK after, So I may be thinking a bit too ahead, but I do want to have a really great goal in mind to work towards, because I do have that plan with equipment, and I do have that plan with armaments. It just takes time, but I do want to have more opinions about how to proceed, because I do want to perform better. And if you guys have a better opinion from experience, I would obviously take experience with the pairings more than just theory crafting. Oh, but let me know in the comments below which option you think is the best, or if you don't think it's neither of these, you can make up your own combination and post it, preferably with a reasoning behind the pairings, like what is the synergy, what is the most optimal way, and things like that. So let me know. And with all that said, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next.